Hey guys, welcome to Reviews from Movie Experts. It's a new segment that we're doing.
I'm the one who named it. I think it's a good name. We're movie experts. We're reviewing something.
Right.
It's in the title.
Yeah.
Itself.
I don't even know how I got roped into this. I don't even see that many movies, but that's okay. I'm here anyways.
We're experts. You're an expert.
You're just that picky. That's why you're an expert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a savant.
Right. Yeah. To start us off, we're going to do The Man of Steel.
Correct.
We all just watched it. We're going to give a brief review. Let us let you know what we think. We also have this totem. This is my idea. Whenever somebody makes a good point on their review, I will hand them the totem.
We may or may not accept it.
That's true. You'll have to stay tuned for that. But it's a Superman animated series. So, well, I think we're ready. Just kick it off.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
All right. So I figure we'll start with the good. We'll segue into the bad. And then maybe we'll talk about future plans.
Spoiler alert, we thought something was bad.
We did. It was not a perfect movie.
Spoiler alert.
You'll be shocked. So I'll start us off. I thought they nailed the look and the feel. Is a Fruit of the Loom commercial. Of Superman. I thought he looked the part. I thought he kicked ass.
So specifically Superman.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought the suit, they translated it well. I thought it looked hokey in Superman Returns, but I didn't like much in that movie.
Well, it's an aesthetic that I was aware of because I had read about it, but they specifically made Krypton a cape-wearing society, and they made it so that the Under Armour of their armor was his suit. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I do like that. It's a change that makes the suit not cheesy,
Right.
and it makes it aesthetically pleasing and still plays homage to the original without feeling like a guy in spandex with underwear on the outside.
Yeah, and the colors were a little deeper. They're not like bright
Right,
red
exactly.
and blue. And I agree with the captain at the end. I think he is pretty hot. He got the face right. He was buff. Like, he filled out the suit. Ridiculous.
He
was
did.
with his shirt off in the beginning. Oh, man. This is good stuff.
I mean, the best part about Superman is he gets to just be hot by being him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything. He can just stand there, and that's part of why his character's sort of boring. But to be attractive, all he has to do is basically be muscle-bound as hell, have a pretty good face, and the customary hair, and he's good to go.
And Bruce Wayne is attractive, but he covers it with a mask. Superman, you don't have to
Right.
cover it with a
Exactly.
mask.
He gets his nice hair and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. No, so I thought he did great. I was disappointed that there was not a lot of Clark, but I guess we can get to that later. He was also, so on the Superman end, he was a little bit too serious, I thought. But he captured the bravado and the strength that Superman in the result.
As the movie went on and he started to more fill the role of Superman, I felt that it came through positively. Like, he started to, at the beginning, I feel like he was still hesitant of where he should stand and what he should do. But by the end of it, he knew what his ground rules were. He knew that he was going to make his own choices, and he still felt heroic about it.
Right.
Which was good.
Hand this to Jason, please.
Okay.
Thank you. No, I agree with that. So I guess secondly, the music was you just threw it on the ground.
Yes.
All right, the music was phenomenal. I would say the strongest part of the whole film.
I agree with that.
It made me care about scenes that I would not have cared about otherwise.
Oh, yeah. I teared up a bit on the one scene where he's stuck in the closet at the beginning as a kid, and like his mom comes there and stuff like that. Just the emotional resonance with that scene. A lot of those earlier Clark scenes were great, and the music, the score from Hans Zimmer, was one of the reasons that it was knocked right out of the park.
No, and even the action scenes really it punctuated things in a really great way. But I think you're right. Also, when they focus on the human side of things, you brought that up. That was also when the movie was really strong. Clark Kent guy. Kent. What was his father's name?
Just Pa Kent.
Pa Kent.
Jonathan, I believe.
Yeah,
Jonathan, right. He made me cry like 4 times. I mean, not actually, but very close.
It's good work from Kevin Costner, right?
Yeah, it's like best movie in years, I think.
I wish he had gotten more screen time, though.
Yeah.
I wish he hadn't died in a really bad way. And by the way, we haven't mentioned it yet. There are spoilers coming up here.
Oh, yeah.
We've sort of danced
wanna
around
know.
it. We're not going to for the whole review of this. So if you have not seen it yet, come back in like 2.5 hours after you have.
He died in a tornado. And
It was hokey and
He
stupid.
died
I'll be
by
honest.
choice.
by
in a
choice,
tornado.
there was no reason for it, and it's not how a tornado works.
No. There was a reason. You see, he had to save the dog.
Mhm.
Oh, right.
So he had to do
Yeah.
it, not Clark.
Right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, I get why he didn't want to reveal himself, but why he had to put himself in danger, not really adequately
Yeah,
explained.
it's a family dog. It's probably going to be okay. It had like 2 years left anyway. Just let it go. But yeah, so that was a little disappointing.
Yeah,
but,
a little bit. Especially because Pa Kent is typically in the comics and like the animated series, he's still a center point for Clark. Clark can go home and talk with Ma and Pa Kent about what's going on. If he's ever facing anything big, he can say, look, I've got these big issues, and sometimes they'll weigh in on it a little bit. There's a really good scene in the animated series where they go home and they talk about how he's this great symbol, and they go, not like that wacko in Gotham. And they approve of what he does.
He's talking about Batman.
Right. And you get to see that. And in this, although Ma Kent's still around, the lack of the dad, I don't know. It seemed like a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
Just to deliver one line of reasoning of this is why he's hiding it. We gotta kill off Pa Kent.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's more options.
I think the Kents are what give Superman about half of his character.
I would agree.
And I think when you take away one of them, while it was sort of impactful, the way he died was silly. And then, like you said, there's just this void the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And while his mom is good and she does a good job in the role, it's
she's
just not
great.
the same.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, a tornado, for the record, it doesn't work like you throw a curtain over somebody and they're just gone.
Yeah. One second they're there,
yeah.
and then
It's a little more violent than that.
Of all the physics they tried to get accurate in that movie, the tornado physics was not it.
Yeah, no. Well, and so speaking of the physics, I thought the action, it was overdone, and we'll get to that. But what was there was good, and they actually captured it, which is something Superman Returns absolutely failed to do completely. The action that was there was really great, specifically Feora
Yeah.
and the big dude. I don't even know who he was.
I don't believe we ever. I think you can see his face in one of the very early scenes when they're storming the council. Other than that, he wears the mask the entire time.
Yeah, the action with them, it was a little more grounded. She did great.
She's easily like one of the best parts in that movie.
Oh yeah, no, like
she's so stone cold and like she knows what she's doing. The scene where they fight in the IHOP and she's just explaining, she's like, I'm doing this forever. I can do, like evolution. Like I built for this, you're not. And like she just doesn't care. It's not even personal for her. And she is just steamrolling him so bad.
Well, him and like the poor army people just get out of there and they won't. They're just getting destroyed and she's like teleporting between them.
I don't know how many times they had to spray assault rifle bullets off of somebody and have it not work before some soldier was like, nope.
Yeah, I'm out.
I don't know protecting my country, and then there's whatever this is.
I don't know if you noticed, but some of those fight scenes, like when him and the big guy were fighting, literally there were bullets coming at them the whole time. I thought they might have just been like moving fast, and it was supposed to be like the speed lines. And I'm like, no, those are bullets.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is just the environmental effects now. It's like
Exactly.
rain. It's like we're fighting in the rain, but it's a rain of metal. Like, we just gotta have bullets.
They had a
flying.
few extra $1 million in the budget. They're like, let's just machine gun the whole
Everywhere.
time. Yeah, no. So I thought that was really great. I just loved the way that the fight, for the first time in Superman history, I thought the fighting was great to look at. And it wasn't just these big, slow blows. It was quick. There was attacks and counterattacks and speed.
And it was visceral. Like they damaged the environment. Like it felt like they had physicality to it.
Right. Well, and so you talked about the visceralness. Let's, I guess, get to the bad.
Segue.
And for me, a little too much action. There were scenes that I didn't care about. But the big problem with me, and this is the same as in Star Trek 2, was a little too much mindless action. And by mindless, I mean nobody in the movie seemed aware of all the damage they were actually causing. The end of Star Trek, this is going to spoil that too. This huge ship crashes into, I think it was San Francisco. I mean, probably 3 billion people were killed. Like, nothing's ever mentioned. This has to be an even higher death toll.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because they do it in, like, the animated series and stuff because they can't show people being injured. Like, they'll get punched through a building, and as they're, like, falling through the walls and they're, like, going through the office cubicles, it'll all be empty, right? Because, obviously, the show can't show it. It's a kid's show. Well, this movie, which can show it, there was a part where he was rolling through an office very similar. Nobody was in it. But as soon as they hit the street, there's people all over the streets. And you're like, well, hold on now.
And the people on the street are being just devastated.
Yeah.
And that'll bring me to one of my biggest problems later. But there was no sense of sacrifice. He didn't try to take the fighting out of the city.
Yeah.
They didn't mention like, oh, we lost, 6 billion people today and absolutely trillions of dollars of damage.
The one time he does go out of his way to save someone is at the climax, and that's the one thing that pushes him to kill Zod.
Right. And okay, well, you brought it up, so I guess let's talk about it right now. And there's a problem overall in the movie I had was the ideas were better than the execution. I liked the idea that if Superman lets this guy live, he's never going to stop. Doing it in a way where this guy is going to kill like 3 people, I didn't buy because billions of people had already been killed at this point.
Yep.
Why are we supposed to care about this poor sap who won't leave the wall? He's on a wall and there's lasers. And for probably 20 seconds, he will just pick up his family and leave. He's just stuck there.
No, he just keeps sidling over a little bit more,
Exactly.
and then the lasers come in a little bit more, and it's just like this chase.
Yeah, it's like the steamroller in Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Like, just get up and go.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's a number of weird physical elements to that where, like, typically their laser vision is directed by their eyes, not by
Their head.
Not like Cyclops, their head. So in theory, there's nothing that should have stopped Zod from just looking at them and killing them.
Right.
Mhm.
But I suppose we didn't see the laser vision used enough in the movie to really verify that, although I feel like it was the case.
Right.
I'll let that slide a little bit. But
It's the Dark Knight thing too, where the ambition of the ideas is worth you looking over some of the plot holes. But still, there were certain things that I was like, the ideas in this movie, they're so good, but they're just not. The execution was just not quite there.
Yeah.
like I feel like Zod didn't come through all the way. Like the Zod in the older Superman movie, he comes as like a conqueror and a tyrant. In this one, although you could relate to him and you knew his story more, I felt like he lacked some of that. Where like you felt only at the very end when he finally had nothing to live for, where you like, this guy's a villain. He has to be stopped. He's gonna like destroy the world. He was trying to do that the whole movie, but I feel like I didn't feel that until the very end when he was
Right.
finally right on par with Superman.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree with that. And I think the story was adequate. I think a lot of decisions on this film were made from Superman Returns because it was so boring and there was so little action that the pendulum swung all the way back, and it was just too much them just trying to justify how we can get from set piece to set piece.
which is the dialogue follows the same route though, where he'll just be talking over here. And then suddenly they're in the desert talking to Lois.
right.
It's suddenly, okay, now we have another scene. And it's like, there's a lot of transitions that are just gone. And I don't know if they were cut for time restraints or what. But
I mean, the movie runs a solid 2.5 hours without those transitions.
Yeah.
So one can only imagine if they had them originally, that was, what, a 3-hour film?
yeah. But there's stuff that, like, literally they're in a scene. And then suddenly we're out here. And it's like, well, how did you get here? It feels like they'll be standing next to each other close. Like they're having a moment. And you're like, where did this moment come from? We're here now. We're in this moment.
Like you talked about, there's zero spatial awareness. It like when he tackled them, and they're probably miles away from where Lois was, and then she shows up like 5 minutes.
At the very finale, they have this part where they come back in from the satellite, and there's just raining down from the heavens, and the people from the Daily Planet who have survived from the rubble are watching as it goes by. It lands a good mile or two away, and then after Superman kills Zod, Lois is just there.
Yeah.
She's just there all of a
Not
sudden.
to mention the fact that they went all the way to space.
It was a
and
Wayne-
landed in the same city.
Yeah.
And then she's there.
It was a Wayne Tech satellite, by the way. I don't know if you caught that.
I actually I didn't catch that, but I caught the LexCorp.
The gasoline
tanker,
trunk. Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
So that was those were little interesting things, which I guess we can talk about now. Is where are they going to go in the future?
I mean, they've left little bits like that, but with them officially stating that they are not going to tie it into The Dark Knight, I think it's a huge disappointment. Like, they have a solid franchise. This one, despite its flaws, is still solid, and I would still go to see a sequel.
Right.
But they will not tie them together. And I'm just afraid that they're going to, in the rush to try to get to their Avengers, their Justice League, they're going to chop out all the buildup that made the Avengers worth it.
Right.
That's my biggest fear right now with DC.
I can see that because I don't think they have a big plan in place. And we know from experience that Marvel had this kind of sketched out a long time ago.
I believe so.
I think once Hulk did well, and then especially Iron Man, at that point it was pretty much all just, here we go.
Well, Iron Man was before Hulk.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just-
Iron Man
just
was the
barely.
very first one.
Damn.
But that was when they were trying to move Hulk off of Universal, I believe, and over to their studios, because the Hulk is, I think, the only one in the set that is under a different studio at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like they had first branched out and were like, okay, we'll let another studio handle Hulk, and then they tried to build it all up.
My question is, why don't they have a plan though? Like they saw it work. They're not even like the pioneers anymore.
No.
They have empirical evidence that this plan will make you billions of dollars. Why not go for it?
I've seen people say, oh, well, they don't want to be accused of copying, which I would say that's
Copy.
That's good, except that people want you to copy. Like
Yeah.
no one's sitting at home going, they better not make an awesome series. No one is doing this. Nobody.
It's a derivative industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What the hell is new these days? There's
Nothing.
a few high concept films, but otherwise the superhero movie's been done to death in the last 10 years.
Yep.
I'm not tired of it yet, like some people are. I think they're still very good. But this idea that you can't do the same thing because someone else has done it is ludicrous.
And if that is their reason, that it's a horrible reason.
Yeah, and if you're gonna, Superman itself, like, it was a good movie, not the most original film on its own. Like, we've seen this origin story itself a few times now. We've seen origin stories like it thematically a bunch of times. Why not just go the whole way? If you're not going to use The Dark Knight, which I think is a mistake, but if you don't want to do it, whatever. Start another Batman series. Start a Flash series. Green Lantern. Do a phase.
Yep.
And put your money and your talent at it so that it's actually good and not what the Green Lantern was, which was garbage. And build it up to a Justice League movie. I want to call them the Avengers.
And I mean, it'd be unfortunate because, like, if they started a new Batman, the Joker's going to have to come up again, and then you're going to have the whole, well, Heath Ledger did it best thing. They're going to have to essentially fight themselves trying to reestablish a trilogy for Batman. But if they're not going to use The Dark Knight, I still feel like that's the better option.
Well, I already said I thought they should use Christian Bale, not Joseph Gordon-Levitt, even though they could, and I would still be okay with that. Get Christian Bale back. Use Stephen Amell from the Arrow TV show.
Oh, easily.
If you're going to do this, I'm even okay with you bringing back Ryan Reynolds from the Green Lantern, even though that movie was awful, just to give it some continuity.
Yeah.
Do a cool Diana Wonder Woman movie. Do a cool Flash movie, and you could be right there with everything else.
With Michael Rosenbaum, that's my vote.
Yeah,
for Flash.
Yeah, right. I like it.
We're about to have a Marvel movie with Rocket Raccoon in it, with Ant-Man in it. You're telling me you can't come up with a compelling story for heroes like Wonder Woman and the Flash? It's ludicrous.
And we had talked about this where, like, if they do a Wonder Woman movie that focuses heavily on the mythology of both Themyscira, the Amazons, and the Greek mythology, and you kind of pull a Thor with it, they've got some serious pull, and if they just use Thor as a template, they can move something.
Exactly. You have a template.
Yep.
Use it.
Yep.
That's what... So, at the end of this movie, you didn't get any hints at the future at all. There's nothing after the credits.
Don't wait after the credits.
Nope.
No, you maybe got a hint at Supergirl, kind of. I hope that they do something with it, but you didn't, not necessarily.
I mean, that was the one thing that even I had noticed, that there was a pod open and they never addressed it, and she's about the only option at that point.
Right. Well, on the merits of this film on its own, not looking forward and maybe missed opportunities, what do you guys think as far as a score? Let's say out of 5.
I mean... I'm tempted for a 3.5. Someone would have to make a really compelling argument to push me to 4.
Okay, here we go. Henry Cavill, hot as hell.
But you know what? I wasn't feeling Amy Adams' Lois Lane. Not nearly as much.
There's no real chemistry was the problem.
It was really forced.
Yeah.
Well,
she's cute, but...
Well, and they got like 3 minutes of screen time, and every second was spent trying to force them together.
Just staring into each other's eyes.
And I was like, guys.
3.5.
If they had taken any of the time away from one of the action scenes.
Yeah, do we need him fighting a tentacle monster for 15 minutes?
I don't want to sit here and we're talking about scores now. I don't want to get too much farther into this. But this idea that we had all this action, which was good, but there was no time for it to breathe.
Yeah.
And it was just fight after fight, and it was well done action, but when you have a 20-minute fist brawl supreme between Zod and Superman, at some point it starts to lose impact.
That's what I don't understand. 20 years ago, Die Hard taught us action is so much more meaningful if you care about the characters.
Yep.
And I don't know why we didn't spend time doing that. I understand you didn't want another Superman Returns, but somebody over there had to see clearly this was not going to be in the same camp.
Like Christopher Nolan, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So much action. I know it was Zack Snyder.
It's his wheelhouse. I mean, that's
that's
what
his camera angles too. That's how you know.
Yeah, yeah. And most of what was there was very good. It was fun to look at. They seemed to get the weight and the momentum of all the physics. It was a little too much, and I don't know why there couldn't have been a little more character in it.
Yeah, I don't know. There were some things that I'm still not solid on, like how he can actually fly, where he starts out only being able to jump, and then he can just kind of like mind power himself around. That's never addressed. I mean, there's little issues like that again you just kind of let slide,
because it looks great when he's flying.
Does. Oh, and then especially even when Zod is finally like, you know what, I can hone my own senses myself.
So now I'm
and then
fly.
he does it too, and you're like, well, okay, at least we've, it's not like Superman's special. Like, no, he's doing it too.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you gonna do? I'm flying now.
Yeah.
Suck it.
I would give it 3 stars.
Really?
I think it's good. I think it's worth seeing, especially if you have any interest in the mythology of the series itself or the overarching superhero trope, whatever. It's worth your money to go see. And I think it's going to be cooler in cinema than it is on DVD or Blu-ray.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's worth seeing there if you intend to see it rather than putting it off.
I don't think it's on IMAX, is it?
I don't remember hearing anything about that.
I think
would.
so.
Is it in 3D?
I don't even know about that.
If it is, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
We bought our tickets in such a hurry. I don't
I don't
have
even
time to
remember.
look.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that I like origin stories. It's one of the reasons why I like the first Iron Man better than the other two, and I like Batman Begins maybe more than the other two in the series, even though they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Because I like that build-up and that origin. This movie has it, but it spends so much time tripping over itself that I feel like it misses the point.
Yeah. No, and I'd agree with that. And the time that they actually do take, I don't know that it's really well spent. All the stuff at the beginning with Jor-El, it goes on for a while. They're trying to establish this other planet that ends up getting destroyed anyway. I thought the original movie handled that pretty well, actually.
I would agree.
So,
In well, I mean, this is obviously just a different argument. The aesthetics of the original films for Krypton, all the crystals, and that kind of ties into his Fortress of Solitude.
Right.
It's a beautiful aesthetic that is tied with Superman for so long. This one steers away from that to a very dark, metallic one. It's not bad, but it is a departure.
yeah, no, definitely. I would give it 3.5 as well. I thought it was solid, and I think it's a good foundation for launching your DC universe. If you're going to, you have no plans for it because you're a bunch of idiots. Hire me, Warner Brothers, and I'll be Christopher Nolan, and I will advise you, and I'll give you a great movie.
Because you know what else would have been a good launching point for a DC universe? The Batman trilogy.
Yeah,
You guys watched it. It was pretty good.
yeah. So you know what? That was a good one.
All right, I'll
I'm
take
gonna
it
give
this
it
time.
to you. And
Look at
now,
him. He's just ripping out of his shirt.
now that you have the token,
Superman.
Uh-huh.
let me just say, based on like the Justice League portrayal of Superman in the animated series, based on the old Superman, I still think this is the best Superman story that we've seen in media so far. I'm gonna go that far and say that. Oh, no Clark Kent though. No like actual nerdy Clark Kent until the very last second. And he was so cute, and he looked like he had the charm to really pull it off, and then they just didn't go there.
Well, and I'm also no Lex Luthor. They killed Emil Hamilton, and Lois is now in on the secret identity from the start.
which is interesting. Yeah,
It's a departure, and they have changed a number of things. And I believe the one girl Jenny is the new Jenny Olsen
instead of
Jimmy.
which
So
is weird too.
But yet you
Gender
never.
bender.
I never remember hearing her last name. So
that is who she is, though.
yeah, which
I
I'd
read
heard
that, yeah.
ahead of time. So they've changed a number of things that when they do continue the series, assuming they do, it's going to be a departure,
Yeah.
and whether or not they can follow through.
We'll see. I like sometimes when the origin stories are so because then the sequels I feel like have an opportunity to breathe and become that much better. But we'll see.
We'll see.
3 point. So we had an average of like
3.33, I think.
There you go.
So just under 3.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah. So I'd say,
Worth seeing.
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
go see it, America. Kind of check your brains at the door, but you should enjoy it more or less.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's flashy and enjoyable. That's enough.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching our movie review. If you want to see more stuff like this from us, you should click the like button down there.
The bottom.
It's
I
that
don't know where
away.
it is at all.
That away. Or subscribe to
Subscribe,
us. You know.
please.
We're trying to do more video content as we go along here. We're new at this. We're learning. But hey, if you want to see more, let us know.
Yes. Until next time.